So I recently made a video talking about the government's involvement in the Bigfoot mystery.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that the government is hiding the truth about Bigfoot, that Bigfoot is out there. People think they have Bigfoot specimens. People think they're actively going out to try and collect them and hunt them down in some cases, right? I want to know your thoughts on that and what you think why they would do that and why they would cover it up. Like why would what how would it benefit the government? Especially now because in these days the government is being like super transparent. Well, I don't know how transparent they're being. I perceive they're kind of being pretty transparent on the UFO phenomenon.
Yeah.
Do you have
So
any thoughts on that?
yeah, I've got two ideas as to what I believe. Um, and just quickly to touch on what you said there about the government being transparent now, I don't believe that they're being transparent now. I just think that it's, like we always get technology like the new iPhone, the new Android phones, and we always say that they're probably way behind in years compared to what they actually have. I think it's the same when government release evidence. I think that they've let us have that because where they're at now and what they're discovering now is way ahead. And so it might look like they're opening up and they're being more transparent. It's just actually that's old news now. So let the people have it, kind of thing. But in terms of your question, to answer your question, sorry, about Bigfoot and why the government would keep that secret, I think two things. I think either the government created Bigfoot, like maybe they've known about Bigfoot, they've created it and some have escaped or something like that in a lab. I'm not sure. We spoke recently about like Dreamland at Area 51 and how Bob Lazar spoke about them doing tests on people and cross hybridization with animals and all weird sorts of science was going on down there. So I don't know. I think that Bigfoot maybe have come from the government or they know about it. I just think that if they've ever had their hands on one, I think that it's maybe done something. Like they've had it laid out on the table and it's shown them some ability for them to know that it's otherworldly, extraterrestrial to nature. And because of that, they want to keep it a secret. It's the same with the UFO and extraterrestrial phenomena. Once they figured out that this thing could do things that our brains can't comprehend, it can outsmart us, it can outthink us, then it needs to be kept away from the people, because if they get wind that this creature out there can outmaneuver us, outthink us every step of the way, how can we maintain control?
Especially if they are in contact with aliens, if there is something.
And it's the same reason why I believe that governments cover up extraterrestrials. If we've got an aircraft that can move 24,000 miles an hour and do all these crazy G-forces, how can we tell that to people? Some of the questions that would be coming forward to government officials once we find out that this creature is more advanced, more capable than we are, and better than us at every step of the way, people would be asking questions like, are we safe? Can we go in the wilderness anymore? Can we go on vacations? Can we camp? And people who own land where some of these reported creatures are inhabiting, do we have to move? Do we have to sell up? And the government won't be able to answer these questions. So it's just easier to keep it all under wraps and keep it a secret. That's why I believe that they try to brush the Bigfoot, UFO, and extraterrestrial phenomenon under the carpet.
What are your thoughts on the idea of them like actually going out looking for these things?
I don't think that they would. For sure, if one was captured, I think that the men in black would be on the doorstep within the hour, taking that creature away and keeping that person quiet, just as they do with the UFO alien phenomena. But do they actively go out there hunting for these things? I don't think that they do.
Yeah, like I haven't seen any strange activity like that from like military personnel or like I've just never witnessed anything. But I did hear a story out in the area where I go. Apparently, a Sasquatch was hit by a truck.
Yeah,
and supposedly that body was taken away by law enforcement or whatever, and that is in the area pretty much where the fingerprints were on the car window that we found, like near the tree structure area, that was in that area. There's a local legend of one being hit by a truck and being taken away.
Yeah, which goes in line with what I was just saying, is that I don't think they'll actively hunt for them, but I think if one turned up, they'd be there within minutes, hours, to confiscate it. And we spoke about this recently, and people might say, well, why though? Why would they want to come and take the Bigfoot? Like, I'm going to use Mount St. Helens for an example here. Like, there's big stories around that eruption that Bigfoots were taken off the mountainside and moved away. And so people might say, well, why would they do that? What interest, or why would they want to fund that project or that mission to do that? And it goes back to what we was talking about recently, Justin, is that it's all about who can get the upper hand in everything, whether it be the airspace, the seas. If we can get the best, the fastest, the most deadly, then we stand a better chance against all these other nations, because tensions are so high and always have been from nation to nation on this planet. Everyone's out for the best, the biggest, the most strongest, fastest. And having a Bigfoot in your possession, especially if we go back to manipulation and hybridization and crossbreeding and stuff, that'd be a great tool to have, a great weapon. You don't want Russia, you don't want China having this. And if they do have it, you want to make sure that you know everything there is to know about it, so you can counteract that. So yeah, I think the government would be interested in taking these creatures in and studying them. I just don't think they actively go out there looking for them.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about, which kind of related to this, I want to talk about what happens if you come across a dead Bigfoot, or if you have shot a Bigfoot. Like, what do you do with the body? How do you... we had this discussion the last time we were out camping on one of our group campouts. We were sharing ideas on what we would do if we came across a Sasquatch corpse. Would we take a foot? Would we try to cut off the head and take the head? You're not going to be able to drag out the entire creature. You're going to have to take parts of it. What would you do if you were out in the wilderness, you came across this thing and you wanted to prove it? How would you bring the evidence home? Once you got it home, how would you release it to the world? What would you do with it?
Me personally, trying to imagine myself in that situation would do the most bizarre things possible. I'd take pictures from many different angles. I'd take pictures of the genitals for definite, because if there's one thing that's really tricky to replicate in a costume, especially one that's covered in fur, would be genitals, breasts, things like that. And hands, again, are very difficult to manipulate in a costume or replicate in a costume. So take pictures of the hands, teeth, inside the mouth, all that kind of stuff is very difficult to replicate. And then in terms of taking a body part, I guess it wouldn't really make a difference which body part you choose, because it would all be alien to us. It'd be all foreign to us. So one of my main priorities would be to get this out as quick as possible, preferably using the internet, because once it's on the internet, people can share and it can be worldwide within minutes. But yeah, it's just, who can you trust? Like, you'd want to get scientists involved. You'd want people who are experienced in the scientific field to study this creature, but would you be able to trust them people? And I don't think that you could, because science is backed by funding. You know what I mean? And these, and again, the further you go down that line of people, the more you find that those people want to keep things like this quiet. So who could you trust? I'm not sure.
I suppose what a guy could do is just film and document it, like, on camera as much as he possibly could, and then take the parts, bring them home, document you even more, do your own, like, it would be pretty, like, hard to do, like, as far as like having body parts in your house. It would be difficult and gory and disgusting, but like trying to like document it, maybe do your own like research on it first, and the best documentation you could do on your own, and then once you're done, just take it to like a news station or something.
I guess the three body parts, I'm just sat here thinking about now as you spoke, the three body parts that I would definitely take is a tooth, a hand, and hair. I think because if we
Well, you
have
got to
those,
take the foot too. You need the Bigfoot.
yeah, that'd be for my own mantelpiece though. That would be.
Well, because you'd want to compare the foot to all the track casts that have been collected.
Yeah, true. But more than trying to prove that this is a Bigfoot, I'd be trying to prove that it's something that we're not familiar with. So for me, the tooth, the hand with the fingerprints, obviously, and the hair, you can get so much DNA and information from those three things that it would come up straight away that this is an unknown species that's not been catalogued. So that's what I'd be thinking.
I think what I would do too is if I had to like dismember a Bigfoot, I would cut off both feet, both hands, and like some other parts, and I would bury some of them like in a certain location out in the bush, obviously, and then take some of it back. Because you know, the stuff that you bring back, it might get taken away, you might never see it again. So if you could stash some of it out in the bush somewhere for safekeeping, I guess, then you should do that. It's weird. So this is a weird, like, morbid thing to think about and to talk about, kind of, but it's like, what do you do? Because that could happen. That could very well happen. Somebody comes across a body of one of these things, or they shoot one, you know. I don't know. I feel like if I was alone and I shot Sasquatch, I wouldn't, but if I was one of those people who shot it, I probably wouldn't even tell anybody that I shot. I would just say I found it. I found it like that. I don't know. Nobody wants to be that guy. I don't have any bad bones in me like that. I feel like I wouldn't be able to do it.
I recently did a TikTok video on this very subject, talking about whether we should kill a Bigfoot or not. And for the longest time, my stance on that question has always been no, we shouldn't. But mainly, that was backed because I'm a huge animal lover. Like, I love nature, I love animals. I don't think we should harm anything, any living thing. But recently, that's changed. Like, I think that if there are Bigfoots out there, then the numbers are obviously stable enough for them to reproduce. So one Bigfoot, or taking one Bigfoot from the wild, wouldn't really impact those numbers, or shouldn't do. And for the name of science, which is quite hypocritical considering what I just said about science, but for the name of science, proving what these things are, I think that we should maybe take one in.
I wonder if that's what aliens are talking about when they come and abduct us. They're probably like, maybe we should go in and take a couple of them. There's so many of them.
Yeah, who'd miss one?
Yeah, it's probably very similar.
Yeah, definitely, I can see that happening. I mean, it's what we do. Like when we find new insects, new creatures out in the wild. You know, very rarely do we sit there with a notebook and camera from a distance detailing what this animal's up to. Usually 9 times out of 10 what we do is we kill one and we bring it in, because you can get so much more information quicker that way than just sitting out for weeks on end in the field. Yeah, definitely. Everybody has their own like ways of what they would do, and it's going to be interesting to see if it does happen, how it all unfolds and how they go about it, you know, because I don't know very many people in the world of Bigfoot who trust the government, you know, and they're all super sketched out about what they would do if they had that definitive proof, you know. I'm sketched out now filming weird stuff in the sky. And you know what the thing is as well, like we always talk about the government and how untrustworthy they are, but for me, I think that this goes further, much deeper than the government. I don't even think that the government pull the strings. Like, I don't think that they call the shots. I think that there is a government behind the government, like a select few people, and they're the ones.
There has to be.
Yeah, I agree. There does. And it's something that David Icke talked about quite a lot, is that the government we see are just puppets. They're given, they don't know where they're going. Like, they don't know what the end goal is. They're told or manipulated in some way to do what the people in the background want them to do.